Hello, 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 and welcome back to Scandal Queens. It is me, your host, EB, and I am back with my dear friend, Connie. Hello, Connie. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Connie, of course, is calling from the other side of the world. She's in, I'm not even going to try it, New Zealand. I always say the proper name wrong. I know that it's got a proper name. Connie, I'll leave that to you.
I'll say it. I'll
Yeah.
say it. It's Aotearoa.
There you go. And very grateful that she is joining me today for this infamous, crazy, ridiculous Kardashians deep dive part 2. Getting even deeper into the original scam of the Kardashians. It's
I'm here for this. I've been waiting. I don't know if anyone else has been waiting, but I've been sat on the edge of my seat waiting. And like, I get the script before everyone else, and I still try not to read it so that I can get the big surprises too. Because I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's wacky, it's wild, and what we're gonna kind of reveal today is that the Kardashians, as hard as they have worked, cannot be taken seriously because, believe it or not, they're just famous for big asses and a sex tape. That is an identity that has been carefully crafted because the truth is, when you start digging into the past of the Kardashians, which I think is way more telling than, a lot of the stuff they're doing now, they have some serious ties to the American evangelical right, as well as a series of scams that have seemingly made them some of the richest and most powerful families in Hollywood. So we're going to do things a bit differently today. I know normally we do a temperature check, and right before we get into the heavy stuff, I kind of give you a light little dusting of problematic Hollywood goings on. But today we're just going to get right back into it because last episode was an hour. This one's probably going to be an hour without the temperature check. We'll see how fast I can talk. So we're just going to get right back into the story, right back into the frightful tale of the Kardashian family and their ties to Ava Kagopian, and more importantly, really what we're going to focus on today, their ties to cult leader William Branham, which is just absolutely absurd. Connie's already shaking her head because I've just been like texting her and dumping on her constantly.
Just seeing her face, like, you just know, like, he's a deviant.
It's dark stuff, and you guys will get that. I think by the end of this episode, we're going to listen to some William Branham clips. We're going to listen to some news media of the time about Ava Kagopian. There's lots of good stuff. So we'll just recap quickly for those who are just kind of getting in on this first episode. When we left off, Tatos Kardashev had left Armenia after a child prophet told him to flee Armenia for Los Angeles. And so Tatos Kardashev flew to Los Angeles, not literally. He had to go through Germany and a bunch of shady people in a bunch of boats because it was 1913. But after he comes to Los Angeles, he joins this already growing Armenian community, changes his name to Tom Kardashian, and starts working with his brother-in-law, Isaac Agajanian, who's running a trash monopoly in Los Angeles. But at the same time, Tom Kardashian, as he is now called, also marries into the multi-millionaire family of the Shakarians when he marries Hamas Shakarian. And that's really where things kind of start picking up like crazy for Tom Kardashian, because this is when Tom Kardashian, through his marriage to the Shakarians and their involvement in the evangelical church, he throws his hat into what is quickly going to become the healing revival movement. So fast forward, Tom Kardashian is now a multimillionaire himself. World War II ends. I don't know how you become a multimillionaire during World War II unless you're doing some shady fucking shit. But anyways, World War II ends and he becomes a part of this movement, which is all about healing gifts, charismatic self-acclaimed prophets who said they've been visited by angels and God, just, wackadoodle stuff. If you watch The Righteous Gemstones, it's basically Baby Billy. So at this point, Tom Kardashian has done his sponsoring of Ava Kagopian. We talked about that in the last episode. And Ava Kagopian is an Armenian faith healer who comes out of Iran, healed the son of one of Tom Kardashian's multi-millionaire Armenian friends, the Arkalians. It's Krikor Arkalian. Ugh, that's a whole nother story we're going to have to do a whole episode on because there's shady stuff. Krikor Arkalian is a wine mogul, wine merchant, and he's got shady ties to Chicago. Really crazy stuff. But anyways, Tom Kardashian with the Arkalians and the Shakarians, brings Ava Kagopian. Ava Kagopian explodes, absolutely explodes when they bring him to Los Angeles. Thousands of people are showing up, going all the way out to Palm Springs to see this mystic man that Tom Kardashian has created such a fuss about. And according to some reports, Ava Kagopian was basically making the equivalent to $40,000 per each one of his little healing services that he would give, because basically, yeah, right? right? Connie's eyes are massive at the moment. So essentially what would happen, yeah,
Like-
40 grand per service. That was how many people. And the newspapers said that according to Arcalian, who spoke to the papers, they at one point had to turn away 5,000 people or 7,000 people during one of the services because they just didn't have enough room. So they had thousands and thousands of sick people coming from all over the country, coming from Canada. People were spending tons of money to fly out to Palm Springs, where Tom Kardashian is sponsoring this mystic faith healer. And they give what's called, according to the papers of the time, like the Los Angeles newspapers, they have to give what's called love offerings if you want to be healed by him or you want to have advice from the Hagopian guy, even though he doesn't speak English. This guy speaks no English whatsoever. You have to give a love offering. So you come, you give him a love offering, which is money, and then he puts his hands on you and says, you're going to walk again, which you don't. Yeah. So he's making like 40 grand an event. Huge fucking money. Huge, 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 huge money. Because remember, this is 1947. This is immediately after World War II. America is filled with traumatized, poor, desperate immigrants, and is filled with traumatized, poor, desperate people who were starving through the Great Depression, went and got traumatized in World War II, and have just been dumped back into America and have to try to make sense of their trauma and their lives. So that's the healing revival. These faith healers explode because people are desperate for some kind of relief, some kind of answer. Kardashian takes advantage of this. Let's just listen. I found a news clip from the News of the World, which if you've seen any of the old like World War II clips, when like the Americans beat the Jerrys, it's this news organization who used to play their little clips at the end of all the Hollywood movies. So I found a clip from 1947, which is very kind of marketing around Ava Kagopian, which again, sponsored by Tom Kardashian. And it will just put into perspective what Kardashian was involved in, taking advantage of these vulnerable people.
Oh yeah, that's already giving like post-war vibes.
Oh yeah.
Avok the Healer. Upon the penniless Armenian in biblical dress rests the hopes of a California millionaire that his long-crippled son, Von Arcalian, will be cured. In Avok's gentle hands reputedly lie miraculous healing power.
If you want to see this clip, by the way, you can
To
go
the
on to
Arcalian estate
Patreon.
in Palm Springs,
Where I have the
they
full
come
thing.
in a never-ending stream, the crippled, the blind, the hopelessly sick, all eager to believe
It's
that the man
absolutely
from the
horrific.
East
Like
has
these
what it
poor
takes to
children,
work a
they can't
miracle.
walk. You can tell there's people like desperately ill on the edge.
20-year-old mystic,
Lining up
tried
in
as
the
a
heat.
charlatan and acquitted in his
Crazy.
own country, has gathered a sizable following during his few weeks in
Armenian
America.
Jesus looks like Rasputin. I know you guys can't see this, but he looks like Rasputin.
The mother claims this spastic crippled child never before walked alone, and this
Yeah.
woman testifies that after
Yeah.
5 years she now can walk. Two
Such a
among
scam.
scores who allege the curative
Horrific.
powers of Avok, scorned by some, but by others proclaimed a healer.
Oh yeah, so that's from 1947. Yeah,
What did I just watch?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What was that? I mean, like, I
Mobs.
know that the way they used to speak and promote and do things back then was like all sorts of fucked up.
Yeah.
But like, I just, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What in the cooked? That was cooked.
It was bad.
What the?
It's really
What
bad.
the fuck?
I know you guys listening to this can't see it if you're not on our Patreon or you're not following me on TikTok, you probably haven't seen it. But essentially, that video was just filming the mobs of sick, vulnerable people who were lining up for hours and hours and hours in the heat to stand around and give this 20-year-old con artist money. And
We
frankly,
know too, like with
yeah.
a lot of these types of con artists, especially when it comes to like healing people, they used to plant people in these crowds that would
Bingo.
fake being ill, and they would come up and they would be the most like healed person after it, and
Yeah.
like it would reinforce, halfway through this massive time of everyone being there for hours, someone's finally been healed. So it
Yes.
would reinvigorate that feeling of like, oh, we're here for a reason, if it doesn't happen now, it'll happen later, like, oh my god.
And as we'll see later, Tom Kardashian will be involved in a publication called The Voice of Healing, which starts out as this advertisement for William Branham Branham, and then it becomes basically just a giant marketing magazine for all of these faith healers. So if you're a faith healer, you can advertise your faith healing. But what the magazine also does is it allows sick, desperate people to write in. They can write prayer cards, and when they go to these services, they can write prayer cards. And on the prayer cards, they would put, my husband's dying of cancer. Here's my name. Here's my address. Here's my phone number. Here's my age. And then these cards would be collected by the Voice of Healing and would be distributed to these healers so that when they got these people in their crowds, it would just magically seem like, oh, I'm going to heal your husband with cancer. And these people will go, how did you know my husband had cancer? And it's because these scam artists were passing stuff. But we'll get more into that. We'll get more into that. But it's an absolute scam. It's more disturbing when you see the video, I think, than when I'm just showing you the newspaper clippings. But it's disturbing because I know a lot of people have rushed already as I've been talking about this, saying, well, the Kardashians really believed in it. I don't think the Kardashians did, because a lot of newspapers at the time were reporting that Ava Kagopian was a scam. He was a con artist. They were going and visiting these people that he had healed, and none of them were healed, right? Some of them were dead. Some of them were still dying. All of them were still sick. And this was constantly being reported on. And as we heard there in that clip from 1947 from these reporters, he had already been tried for being a charlatan and allegedly in Egypt. They got him from Iran. But allegedly in Egypt, this gets mentioned multiple times in different sources, Avak had already been tried for being a scam, for being a charlatan, specifically being a con artist. So I find it very doubtful that the Kardashians brought over a man they really believed in that was making 40 grand an event. Well, you know what I mean?
If anyone was listening on the first episode, we know full well that he was primo primed to be con artist because he decided he was going to do the garbage thing, and he helped his brother-in-law.
That's right.
Was it?
Yep. Isaac Agajanian, who had this trash monopoly in Los Angeles. We read the newspaper clip. Yeah.
Already keen as to go ahead and do all that sort of stuff. To think that he's not already like clocked that this guy's a con artist and that's what they're doing.
Yeah. But Ava Kagopian being a con artist, that's very, very sinister. But I think what's really, really sinister and why he kind of is so important to the Kardashian story, because Ava Kagopian eventually goes the way of all cult leaders, right? He faded into obscurity. The kind of media attention around him fades. He moves to the East Coast. People stop talking about him, and then he eventually starts his own little cult, which we'll have to do a whole nother episode on, because Ava Kagopian had his own cult, and they lived in this big stately home in Hudson Valley, New York, which just recently burnt down in a very suspicious fire. But it's connected to all this right-wing stuff, and he had a 15 or 16-year-old bride, and he had all these women, and then he started getting all these girls, and it's like a dark chapter started by the Kardashians, who sponsored him for ages. But what's really sinister about them is that they bring into the picture William Branham. William Branham, seeing Ava Kagopian, seeing the attention that he was getting. William Branham, a KKK affiliated preacher that we left off with in the last episode, this is when he comes in. So that's kind of like, that's now the full recap. You kind of know where the Kardashians are at, who they're supporting. And now we're going to get into William Branham, because this is the swing. This is the pivotal thing. This is the family association that, in my personal opinion, unfucking forgivable. It is unfucking forgivable, especially in light of the fact that they're already funding Ava Kagopian, and then they get this con artist, William Branham, who's like known, open, racist, cult-leading con artist, who's a nut job, which I will prove here in a moment. This is when he comes into the door with the Kardashians. Absolutely, like a flight of shit. He comes buzzing around the Hagopian sensation, and the Kardashians, of course, what do? Hi, you seem like a religious scammer. Why don't you come into the fold? Come and join our scams.
Yeah, because he's got people already following, and if they can market him well enough, they can market more people to come in, and they can make more money. Knowing that they can get $40,000 a day for a guy who looks like a washed up Jesus.
Correct.
Great.
Yeah, because at this point, remember, the Kardashians can already be tied to Clem Davies, who in his sermons preached for the KKK. He was a part of the Asiatic Exclusion League. He supported riots in Canada against Asian people. He was a member of the Anglo-Saxon delegation, which just like nuts racist shit. So the Kardashians are already dealing with Clem Davies. They're dealing with Ava Kagopian. There's all of these really dodgy ties that are starting to develop. And then William Branham walks in, who we're going to tied to Jim Jones and all this other shit. But he walks in 1947, and the Kardashians and the other Armenian Pentecostals reach out to Branham right away. Come to us. We're going to sponsor you. And we know this for a fucking fact, even though he's, again, by this point, William Branham has been brought into religion by a KKK pastor, Roy E. Davis. He's his protege. He's leading a KKK church, okay, an openly KKK church. And the Kardashians approach him. We know this because he talks about it himself in a sermon, which his cult, The Message, that's still around today, was kind enough to put the clip of, both audio and text, online for me to find. So let's listen to a little clip of William Branham talking about the start of his relationship with the Kardashians in 1947, because it's very, 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 very enlightening stuff. So this is again, if you follow me on Patreon, you may have seen this. This is a full sermon called, I believe it's the Angel of God sermon is what it's called. It's over an hour long, but here's the little clip where he talks specifically about his relationship with the Kardashians and how they brought him into the fold, and they sent him up to heal a woman with the cancer.
The Armenian people, they flew a boy who prayed for the sick by the name of Abac. They brought him from Cairo over to pray for a man by the name of Arcadian. The same time they sent for him, they sent up in Indiana and had me to come to a woman with cancer, and both breasts were taken off, and the cancer had gone down into the lung cavity. And 3 days after the woman was prayed for, she was doing her shopping on the street, and she's perfectly sound and well now with no sign of cancer at all. And it so got the Armenian people over there to see that the Lord Jesus was such a great healer.
Yeah. It just, a woman was dying of cancer, had gone all the way into her chest cavity, but the Kardashians sent for William Branham, and he touched that woman, and Lord, she was out shopping 3 days later, perfectly healed.
You know what? I need to make sure that everyone's really aware that the cadence that man speaks is so on par with cult leaders. They have a way that they speak, and it draws you in. You're waiting for each word because it's like, what the fuck is going to happen next? And next thing you know, you're an hour into the sermon and you're finally nodding along.
Yep. Going, yeah, maybe he's got a point.
That type of cadence is a dangerous type of cadence. You'll see it in politicians. You'll see it in like really high up people, CEOs, all that sort of stuff. They have a cadence to the way that they speak that will draw you in, and that man has it.
He has it.
Yuck.
This is Jim Jones. This is who taught Jim Jones how to preach, literally. And you go and listen to Jim Jones, and it is, you like, right, this is where he learned it. This is it. Pauses and all is that cadence. It's sinister, and it gets wackier. I've got some more clips for you as well. It gets fucking wackier because Branham is nuts. Okay, I know I've got some of his cult followers, his former cult followers, both in my comments over the last couple of weeks as I've been talking about this on social media, and I know that's going to be hard for some of them to hear, but this guy is batshit bonkers. I should have got the ant. There's a whole sermon about giant ants. It's crazy. I put it on Patreon. You got to hear it. It's nuts. He talks about giant ants are going to come and end the world, and it's a sign. It's fucking nuts. Absolutely nuts. But this is what's going on in 1947. Branham, as we just heard, he's getting financial support from the Kardashians to set out on the road, to go out on tour. And the papers pick this up. William Branham goes on tour with Ava Hagopian. They start doing these sermons together, these big 40 grand a night kind of events. They're getting in bed. To me, this is intentional, right? It's so intentional. And this is the platform on which Branham starts building this scheme and this growing message that he's a prophet, that he's been sent by God, that an angel appeared to him and to him only to give a redeeming message to the followers of Christ. Just bonkers. And this momentum, again, provided by the Kardashians, the Shakarians, the Arkalians, and William Branham using this momentum becomes the central and what is literally considered, if you Google this man, AI is going to tell you that he's the initiating figure of what becomes the Healing Revival, which is now Christian nationalism and all this other really nasty stuff. But it's the Healing Revival is essentially post-World War II, like I described, everyone's desperate. And so they fall into this movement. And this movement is all about mystical healing, right? Prophets, talking in tongues because you're possessed by the Holy Spirit, throwing yourself on the ground, spiritual symbolism with a dose of Christian nationalism, sensationalism. We're going to take over the government. It's Trump's crazy little blonde bob faith healer who walks around going, healed, huh, and like hits people in the head and stuff, and they start like shaking on the floor. It is literally that. I just watched a video of it this morning. It's fucking nuts. She just walks around. She's like, huh, healed. Bat shit. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it all starts with Branham. This is the man who's credited with like making this happen. Like the righteous gemstones again, like that baby Billy. None of this exists without William Branham and the Kardashians creating this business around him. And coincidentally at this time, right? Remember, we're in 1947, we're going into 1948. Something really interesting happens in the Middle East. There's a certain state that gets formed, and there's a certain event called the Nakba that happens when a bunch of people are genocided. It's the start of a genocide that's still going on, right? And coincidentally, like right after news of this hits the papers, very positive, very pro-genocide news in America, right? Obviously. Branham, again, funded by the Kardashians, he starts saying, you know what? An angel appeared to me and said, we got to make the state of Israel happen. Because this angel in my bedroom touching my dick said, we gotta help Israel, right? He didn't actually say the dick part, but he might as well have. The way this guy talks about angels appearing to him like they're like hookers. Fucking nuts. So that's pretty coincidental, I think. Maybe just a little bit, considering that Kim Kardashian's now opening, 11 stores in Israel in the middle of an ongoing genocide? Dunno. But this idea of we got to help Israel, we got to support Israel becomes what's known as the latter rain doctrine, which is also created by William Branham. Super, super fun. So we've got Branham, future cult leader, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. He's starting to fill stadiums, okay? Because the Kardashians and the rest of the Armenians are building this amazing marketing around him. Kardashian family right at the center of this. And remember, all this while, he's still preaching for the KKK. He's endorsed by the KKK. He's endorsed by leaders of the KKK. He's preaching at like KKK events. This is known. He's like openly racist and horrible and bigoted, but Kardashians are giving him money. They have white names now, so he's totally good with it. Totally good with it. That's when the voice of healing happens. And this is a very, very big deal because the voice of healing, I think it's still around today. And it ties into all this other business and economic stuff and politics. But so in 1947 into 1948, Branham uses the funding that he's getting from the Kardashians, all the notoriety that they're helping him build to form this magazine, The Voice of Healing. And The Voice of Healing magazine, it kind of starts out as like a newsletter or like a digest kind of thing. And it's originally just for Branham to be able to like get his message out to even more people. So if you can't come to one of his 25,000 person tent revivals, then you can get his newsletter delivered to you every so often and get indoctrinated that way, right? Super manipulative shit. So it promotes his sermons, it promotes his message, and it helps Branham build this persona. He starts telling these stories of, I was born in a cottage in Kentucky. No, sorry, a cabin. I was born in a wood cabin in Kentucky with no running water. Like he makes up this whole story, which the FBI later exposes as being fake. And he's also at this time still doing photo shoots with Ava Kagopian, which Tom Kardashian's paying for, and he's putting it in the paper. Tom Kardashian's like, I'm going to build a temple in Los Angeles for Ava Kagopian, and I'm going to send him on the road. And so they're having all these photo shoots together. The Voice of Healing explodes. It absolutely fucking explodes with all this marketing that's being done with the Armenian community and Branham and Hagopian. It becomes a major, major business, like a multi-million dollar business within like a couple of years of being started. And it transforms from being Branham's personal newsletter to being an advertising platform. And it's an advertising platform for faith healers and mystics. So people like Ava Kagopian who want to go in there and say, bring your sick and your dying to me, give me a love offering of money. The more you give, the more I can heal, and I'll touch your leg and stop the gangrene. Crazy shit. And they also start advertising child faith healers during this time. So there was a really famous one called like Little David, and I think they had him out on the road at like 3 years old, or maybe that was Little Michael. But they had like 12-year-old faith healers and stuff advertised in this, where people would just put their children in it and be like, "Come see my kid, and he'll heal your gammy leg." Just sick shit, dark shit, ridiculous shit. So any pastor or healer,
I'm sitting here. I'm like, this is.
Isn't it insane?
It's we're only at 1950. That's where we're nearly at, and I'm like.
We're just 50s. About 1950, yeah.
There's people about today, they're like, we need to go back to when it was the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
No, thank you. No, thank
Kim
you. I
Kardashian's
don't
dad is already alive while this is happening.
These are flim flam men.
Yeah.
These are flim flam men.
100%.
There's a flim
100%.
flam. Holy
100%.
shit.
Yeah. And again, I can't state this enough. I know people are hearing this and going, well, 1947. Well, Kim Kardashian wasn't alive in 1947. Her daddy was. Her daddy was alive for all of this. Robert Kardashian Sr. was born in 1944, which means this is what he grew up in. Everything we're talking about is what Kim Kardashian's father was growing up in and indoctrinated around.
He was probably able to understand like the world
100%.
around him by 5 years old. This guy was taking all of this in.
100%. By the time we get to the really dark shit, which we know for a fact the Kardashians were still giving him money in 1956 because we've got, which I'll go into, in 1956. We're talking about, he's like 11, 12 by that point, Kim Kardashian's dad, and he will be involved in all of this. He will be involved in these church services because this community is, it's all connected. It's all dark. It's all awful. It's awful. So we've got the voice of healing being helped along with Kardashian money. It becomes a huge business, and anybody can advertise themselves in it. And when they do advertise themselves in it, they get a endorsement from William Branham. They never speak to him, but he starts endorsing them. So it becomes like, oh, if you're in this magazine, you're endorsed by William Branham, everybody behind William Branham, which was well known to be this evangelical Armenian community and all of these businessmen. That's the big thing that kind of legitimized them, is there was all these businessmen, multimillionaires, business moguls who were endorsing Branham and the Voice of Healing. So the publication, at the same time as advertising all of these services, they also, the Voice of Healing, besides just advertising healing services, they also offer this opportunity that you can write in. You can like send in a prayer request, and on it you put your name, you'll put your information, your phone number, and supposedly Branham and his team will take that and they will pray for you because they need your address to pray for you. Apparently, God needs to have your physical United States mailing address to pray for you. And this is also something that they start doing at these revivals. So you can imagine you got 25,000 people in an auditorium and they pass around cards and everybody's got to put their name and address. What's wrong with you? What do you want to be prayed for? Yada, yada, yada. What is alleged, what is suspected, if you go through the research at william-branham.org, is that this information was essentially being collected and then passed around behind the scenes to these different ministers so that they could look like they were doing mystical healing, because they would basically find, all right, I'm going to Birmingham, Alabama. I need the Birmingham, Alabama list. And they would get a list of names, addresses, and what was wrong with people. And if those people showed up at the revival, they would say, oh, sister so-and-so, God's telling me your tummy hurts. And it was just a whole big scam. Yeah. It was a data collection and selling scam, just like the one Kim Kardashian got in trouble for in 2022, the data collection lottery scam she ran.
This type of shit that makes me not want to put my email address on things that ask me for my email address. Like, what? Absolutely crazy. It again, another opportunity to capitalize on sick, poor, desperate people. Like that's what these prayer cards were being used for. Scam and to take advantage of people. This to me would have been the end. This to me should have been the end, but somehow people didn't understand that mailing in their illnesses, and then suddenly the people that worked for the magazine they mailed their illnesses into knew about their illnesses. It's just taking advantage of the vulnerable every which way you look at it. And it just gets bigger. It gets bigger and it gets bigger and it gets bigger and it continues to grow. And with it, we start getting a really fucking wacky William Branham, who again, he's the voice of the Voice of Healing because it's his magazine that he started. And by this point, by 1950, not only is he filling stadiums, the Kardashians are getting ready to sponsor him to go on world tours. He's about to go to India. He's about to go to Africa. He's about to be the first pastor to have a successful tour in Europe. He's about to do all this crazy shit. And so let's listen. I've got a clip here that will just go. Connie's baffled. He's just probably going to see the white people in those countries. There's no him going to see like it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And let's just have a listen to what kind of beliefs Mr. Branham had during this time, because I found a little interview that he gave in 1950, right in the middle of this, right in the middle of Kardashian support, which kind of gives you an example of how he thought about himself and the kind of claims that he was willing to make, because it's fucking wild. It's batty. Surprise, surprise. No one's surprised. This fucking nut. I can't even. He looks like George Bush. You can see him on Patreon. If you're on our Patreon, you can see him there. But it's what it was the politician I was thinking of.
Yeah, George Bush Jr.
Like that turd.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks like he's about to have someone tell him in an elementary school that the second tower's been hit. That's what he looks like. He looks like he's getting bad news all the time. But let's just listen to William Branham in 1950. This is the kind of stuff he was talking about. This is how he thought about himself. This is who the Kardashians were like, yeah, let's give this motherfucker some money.
Very well,
Yeah,
Brother
this guy's
Cobb. Let's go back to the beginning.
He's crazy.
I was born in eastern Kentucky in a little log cabin near Burkesville, Kentucky.
Which is not true.
The
His
morning of
family
my
ran liquor for
birth,
Capone.
I'm told of my parents that there was a light came into the room and hung over me. My people was not a religious people. They did not go to any church.
Such a fucking hack.
Of course, this caused quite a stir among them. It's followed me all the days of my life.
Here's the best part.
Recently, they took a picture of it in the scientific world, as shown here. You're probably familiar with this picture.
It's just a light.
It was proven by science that it was the only supernatural being that was ever scientifically photographed.
Scientifically
In my
photographed.
opinion, it's the same angel of God that followed the children of Israel.
Couldn't make it up. Couldn't make it up.
Honestly,
Couldn't make it up.
The amount of confidence this man has for how far his hairline goes back, like, whoa, bro.
It's
Whoa.
nuts.
Yeah. And then
It's nuts.
also, for like people that go over to the Patreon and you actually watch this video, you'll notice that he purposefully looks down to his right. Now, when you're thinking about memories in your brain, usually you will look down to your right, but he is actively doing it. You can see him forcing his line of sight to the right, which in human like interaction, that's seen as like a safe thing.
Yeah.
So he's purposefully doing that, and it's really fucking creepy.
Isn't it
man.
off-putting? I wish we're gonna have to video record these at some point so people can see this. Again, I've got the video on Patreon, but it's so unsettling. You can tell that he's trying to deliver something intentionally that he's memorized for a specific It's so manipulative. It's so manipulative.
Like you would think he would, like with all the money he's earning, you would have thought he got a toupee by now. Because honestly,
He
like,
gets one later. He gets one later. He
it's
gets
just
one.
you would slap him and all of it would go. Like
Yeah, that's what he gets.
It was too much confidence.
That's
Why
what he
do we
gets.
give these men with no hair this much confidence to speak out loud? Why are you speaking, sir?
There's a whole blog post on william-branham.org that's about his bad toupee that he gets.
Oh, so he did end up with toupees. Because
Yeah.
fuck me, man. Holy! Did he tell everyone that it was God that gave him back his hair, or did he just kill some
It will be because
hamsters?
he told everybody he had healing powers that he could bring back anything he had lost. So that would have been what it is.
Oh, did he lose his marbles?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like we'll get to the giant ants. We'll get to the giant ants. Right, so by this point, we are in 1950. The Voice of Healing magazine, it's booming. Branham is booming. Business is booming for the Kardashians. They're making a ton of money off of this stuff. And what's really interesting is right here, right smack in the middle of this here old boom, right around 1950, a little somebody gets invited to write an honorary letter to go in the front of William Branham's magazine. And wouldn't you know, it's Roy E. Davis, co-founder of the KKK. And he tells the whole story. He tells the whole story of Branham, which contradicts everything Branham was telling people this time, because Branham's standing on stage going, I was born in a little cabin in the spirit of God. Like, no, it turns out his daddy was running liquor for Al Capone, and he was working for a KKK guy. Yeah, Connie, I'm not even, yeah. Yeah.
Wait, so they were like, no, let this guy, hey, come back to us and write a letter for our amazing magazine. He's like, yeah, I'm going to fuck you in the ass with this. This is going to be great.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like-
yeah, pretty much. And like they just let it happen. I think at this point, everybody involved with the business of this realizes that everyone else is fucking stupid, and that the people who aren't stupid are on their side. They're like a part of the KKK and making a ton of money. Like it's crazy. It's crazy because this is 1950 KKK guys writing a letter. I'll put the letter on Patreon. I've got it. Got the whole page. Got a screenshot of the magazine. I can put right up there on the front page.
I just,
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
you know that like any power struggle structures will implode on themselves because everyone's out for themselves, and so everyone will stab each other in the back. But it's just so weird.
Yeah,
that
by
it's the
1953.
KKK guy.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you cannot swing your dick further than mine.
Yeah, and what's interesting is there was obviously, this is Branham's magazine. Branham is still like the figurehead by this point. He won't be in a little bit, which we'll talk about, because the backstabbing. It's interesting you mention that, because there's about to be a bunch of backstabbing among these little men, these little boys, these little angry little boys. They like to backstab and gossip. They're like little girls. They're like little middle school girls. They're just nasty little men. Nasty, nasty, nasty.
It's the getting toasted on your own magazine, though.
Yeah, but I think that's what's telling to me, right? Because this is Branham's magazine, and Roy E. Davis, co-founder of the KKK, a national imperial fucking wizard for the KKK, writes this whole page contradicting everything Branham said, and Branham can't say shit about it, can't do anything about it, can't change it in his own magazine, because this is his boss. This is the guy who brought him into the church, who baptized him, who ordained him, who gave him the church. Because by this point, of course, Roy E. Davis had already been arrested multiple times. He had the FBI after him for all of these crimes that he had done. And they're like, hey, come write in our Christian magazine, actually, on the front page, and like, just write about yourself. And he outlines the whole story. He's like, Branham came to me at 19. I made him a preacher. We love the KKK. I gave him my KKK church. Isn't that fucking wonderful? Right out there on the open, yikes on bikes. Okay? Yikes on bikes. But that's not even the worst part. Not the worst part, because by this point, Branham, by 1950, by the early 1950s, he had perfected and kind of fine-tuned what was now becoming known as the latter rain doctrine. And this is where it gets really fucking dark. And like I was telling Connie, this is where people's eyes glaze over when I try to talk to them about it, because this is when it becomes, this is everything that you see in the White House right now. Like all this evangelical stuff that you hear, like Hegseth saying that the aliens are demons coming from the devil. This is these people. These are these beliefs. This is latter rain doctrine. It's why the United States is so deeply in bed with Israel. It all comes back to this. So buckle up. And remember, Robert Kardashian, the father of Kim, is alive for this. He is alive. He's fucking alive for this. So 1950, Branham's sermon, he's delivering them around the world. He's delivering them around the world. It's all about latter rain. So I'm gonna have to simplify this because I'm not a fucking theologian, but it's essentially this really dangerous Christian ideology, which is the backbone of Christian nationalism and the American evangelical right as we know it today. And the core of latter rain beliefs, again, simplified, don't crucify me here, or do, I don't know, you guys love Jesus, some of you, I don't know, maybe it's good. These sources, I got this from william-branham.org, which please God, go and deep dive on that website. It's so good. And I also got this information from narconnections.wordpress.com, which is a former member of the NAR. He realized it was a cult, and now he's working really hard to try to expose all of this really twisted corruption that's in the Christian church in America. He's still a practicing Christian, but he's trying to like actually live by Jesus's message and expose these people. So according to these sources, latter rain is essentially this idea that humans are entering the end times, especially the Pentecostal revivalists, and it is their job to bring about these end times faster. They got to speed it up. That's their job as Christians, is to get Jesus here as fast as possible so that they can get to paradise and take over the world as fast as possible. And within that, they believe also that Israel, Jerusalem, is a part of this, and that for them to get through the apocalypse and take over the world, because this is tied into all that 144,000 bullshit like the Mormons like to talk about and believe, they believe that they can basically push Israel into and through the apocalypse and help them wipe everybody out. Then that will also bring them closer. That will redeem the Christian church and bring everything to Revelation, apocalypse, and then their control of the world. It's a really big simplification, but it's essentially the fuck brother of Zionism. That's essentially what it comes down to. Connie is baffled.
I'm just, because I'm trying to piece together in my head, like, that whole concept of, like, why would it make anyone a good Christian, per se, or whatever the religion is, why would it make you a good follower if you were actively doing something that is going to bring about pain to others?
Yeah, that's it. And I also think it's like, it's some kind of narcissism for sure, but I can't remember what the Christian word is for like you putting yourself in the place of God. It's like them saying we can do it. Like the apocalypse is God's job, right? But we're going to do it. Like we're so powerful that we're going to bring it about for God. That doesn't make sense.
It's like when I tell my kid, hey, can you clean your room? and they'll just shove a bunch of the rubbish underneath the bed to
Yes.
make the cleaning happen faster so they
Yes.
can stop sooner.
It doesn't make sense. But these are not smart people, right? These are just evil people. They're not smart. They're just evil. They want to inflict harm.
The 50s in America.
It is 100%. And I think also that's a bit of perspective, right? It's like my parents were born in the 50s. These people, a lot of these people are still alive. My dad is still alive. These people are alive. They're making policy. They're in the White House. This is yesterday. This is basically yesterday. This isn't 100 years ago. This is now in the 1950s. This stuff that we're talking about. And again, it's an oversimplification. If you go and look at it, the latter rain doctrine is all centered around this. I think it's Isaiah is one of the Isaiah is like scripture from Isaiah, but it's all about the scripture talks about harvest. This is the harvest of souls, the final harvest of souls. And so you see a lot of these churches are called Harvest. They might be called Harvest Zion Church, Zion Harvest Church, Harvest Ministries, Harvest International. Any of these churches with Zion in the names, there's a very, very, very good chance they are bedfellows. Okay, they are essentially the same doctrine, but with like two different parties delivering the same results. They are both death cults that believe Israel and wiping out anybody but Israel is the key.
Like you said, as soon as the Nakba started, he was like, "Oh, yep, cool."
That's when he started preaching it. Literally the same year is when he starts preaching that.
So, like, there's a chance that he's already like heard from or been in touch with
100%.
people that are in the field that have been creating Zionism, which is essentially what pushed all that to happen in the first place.
Because remember, Branham by this point is surrounded by multimillionaires. There weren't billionaires at this time. There weren't. There was like maybe the Vanderbilts. I don't even think they were worth billions at this point. This is a time in which the millionaires were the billionaires, and these millionaires were Kim Kardashian's family. And they were around William Branham. And you think multimillionaires back then weren't rubbing elbows with politicians, weren't like dealing with shady political components and geopolitics in other countries? We're about to go into the Cold War. Like this is some serious shit. It's like it's very, very dark. But along with those beliefs, the latter rain movement also believes in like all the mysticism stuff. So faith healers, speaking in tongues, laying of hands. They believe that in order to prove that you are baptized with the Holy Spirit, that you have to act ecstatically. So that's screaming, shaking, like holding your hands up, the preacher hitting you in the head. It's all of that. It's called ecstatic.
I think every time I think of someone doing like the speaking in tongues and like faith healing stuff is Donnie from the Wild Thornberrys going,
Yeah, it is. It is. That's exactly what it is. It's fucking nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense. But here's what's really, really crazy about this as we get into the rest of William Branham. So he starts preaching this latter rain stuff, and what you need to really, really absorb, and we'll get more into this at the end, but latter rain believers, they're now the New Apostolic Reformation, or the NAR. And in academic circles, the NAR, which is again, it's Trump's faith healer, hitting people in the heads. There's a whole list. You can go look these people up. It's Hillsong Church. It's that Judah Smith and Church Home that Lana Del Rey goes to. This NAR people, academics refer to them as the Christian Taliban because they believe in an extremist Christian theocracy that they are willing to secure through violence. They are no different than the brown people that they try to make fun of and insult and put as an inferior. It's the same thing.
Like Old Testament type of vibe.
100%. And I'm reading the history of the Ottomans right now, and they were doing this all through the 1400s, the 1500s, the 1700s, this Ghazi shit. It's all this like, I'm a warrior for God. I'm going to be the next Jesus. It's some dark shit.
Pretty sure, like, from what I know, is Jesus didn't actually hurt anyone.
No,
like,
well, he beat a guy in a temple once, a tax collector, and then like destroyed a temple. Right. But that was a tax collector. He beat a guy in the government. You know what I mean? He didn't beat brown people. He was brown. But anyway, so this is what William Branham is preaching with the sponsorship of the Kardashian family throughout the 1950s. He starts it in 1948 with the Nakba. He's preaching it openly throughout the 1950s. So he becomes a worldwide sensation. He goes to Europe on this message, on this latter rain doctrine bullshit. He becomes the first pastor who tours, I think it was like Sweden, Finland, Norway. There was a whole bunch of countries, but he had thousands. He had like thousands and thousands of people attending every single meeting. He gets to South Africa by 1951, and there was something like 30,000 people. I've been posting the pictures. You can see the pictures on Patreon. There was just thousands of people just like huddled up outside to try to get a glimpse of him, to hear him. Thousands. I think to this day, it's still the biggest religious event that's ever been held in South Africa. He did multiple tours. He was in India. Huge. This is when he gets featured in Time magazine. And all the while preaching end times, hate-filled, Zionist bullshit. The whole time. Kardashians are sponsoring him the whole fucking time. 1951 through 1952. That's what he's doing, and that's who's funding him. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's just, what? It's that whole like white people went out and did their best to colonize as much as they can, and it's like this William Fuller and all these other preachers are like their way of like continually like reminding them to keep in that mentality. Yep. It's the same with like Catholicism, like it's all over the world. You find Catholic denominations everywhere, and they all follow the Pope. Yeah. It's like they're trying to create their own format. Very of much. That.
This is the Pentecostal. What's interesting is this. So this healing revival is a part of a larger what's called charismatic movement, where it was like all of a sudden you wanted preachers in the pulpit preaching hellfire and brimstone and putting on a show, and it actually happened to this leaked into every single denomination of Christianity in America. The Catholics were doing and started preaching the same stuff. The Lutherans, the Presbyterians, they all started doing this during this time. We're focusing on the Pentecostal arm of this because that's what the Kardashians are, and that's what they've supported, and they're part, like the Pentecostals are the Christian Taliban. They're very fucking violent versus the Catholics will just go and preach some stuff and then they'll change it again 10, 20 years later. But this is just the Pentecostal arm.
Oh, I can think. I've never been in a church where it's like that. I grew up in a Catholic, and very much like church was boring.
Yeah,
church
was not in America.
Church was hard to sit through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, that's when I was still feeling out my Christian journey before I completely was like, no. I went through basically every church, and at the end I was down on Catholicism and Episcopalian Church, which is the Lutheran Church, is the Church of England, because they were chill. Because I didn't have a pastor screaming at me that the gays were going to hell and I shouldn't touch black people. When I grew up, my family went to a Baptist church for a while, and it was literally hellfire and brimstone every fucking sermon. It was absolutely terrifying. Everybody was going to hell at the end of every sermon. The guy would stand up there and scream about women. Women weren't even allowed to eat in the same room. Like when they had a meal together, the women had to serve the men in one room and then leave, and then they weren't allowed to eat in the other room until the men were done eating, and then they got to eat by themselves in another room. Like this shit is common in America. And I'll have people from where I'm from that listen to this and go, well, yeah, what's wrong with that? That it's normal in America. This shit is normal.
Everything's wrong with that. Everything is wrong.
Everything's wrong with it. I also, that same church, it was a Baptist fundamentalist church, which is now, I know it's part of the NAR 100%. It's part of all of this shit. That same church was one that said black people are black because they're full of sin, which is what the Mormons also believed until the 70s, and that all black people were part demon and they were going to hell.
Mormons out there thinking that they can change the skin color of people if they think about it hard enough.
Baptist church was basically teaching the same thing, and I've been like, why is that? And it's because of this. It all comes back to William Branham and this crazy Pentecostal charismatic revival that he was central to. He was the one that did it, and all of this, he's being funded by the Kardashians through all of it. So by 1953, what's really interesting though is he's Looney Tunes by this point. All right, William Branham, Looney Tunes. He's going to these big Pentecostal conventions and saying, I am God, I am Jesus, I am the Messiah, and also we're going to fucking nuke the world and bring about the end times. And so the voice of healing, which is huge, right? It's big business. It's making the Kardashians and everyone else a lot of money at this point. By 1953, they approach Branham right before their big convention, the Voice of Healing convention. And they tell Branham, hey, you got to tone it down. You got to just preach the Bible so that we can make the money, and just like tone it down a little bit. Just tone it down a little bit. Branham tells them to go fuck themselves, essentially. And he's like, no, I'm preaching latter rain. And they said, please don't preach latter rain. It's going to turn some people off. Wait until we get their information, get them into the cult, and then you can preach latter rain. But Branham refuses, absolutely refuses, throws a fit. So essentially, he doesn't get to go to the Voice of Healing convention. Causes a big scandal, but never you fear, latter rain preacher Joseph Matson Bowes gets involved. He swings in, this fucking bigoted, racist, latter rain Zionist piece of shit. He comes running in, and he's like, Branham, buddy, you created everything that I've made my money off of. Why don't you come here and preach at my church? And Branham's like, hot diggity dog, let's do that. I love preaching racist Zionist shit. And so these two start preaching together. Branham is still being sponsored by the Kardashians. He's now being told by his own church that he can't fucking preach there because he's too bigoted, and he's still being sponsored by the Kardashians. He goes and moves to the Herald of Faith, which is this Latter Rain publication, which is a new magazine who's supposed to challenge his old magazine, and he keeps getting more fucking famous, which is why the Kardashians are probably still sponsoring him by this point.
God, though, that's that whole like cult leaders needing their persecution complex to like kick things off. They get to a high date, and then it pushes them into that complex of like, oh no, but they hate me, and that must mean I'm right.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, but just wait, because this next part's gonna blow your fucking dome. It's gonna blow your dome. So Branham is fighting with his original church and the Voice of Healing. So he's gone over and he's the Herald of Faith now. Herald of Faith explodes. They start doing their own conventions. They have a big magazine. Branham's still attracting thousands and thousands of people. It's crazy. And so we get to 1955, right? We're in 1955. Branham's now the Herald of Faith, still sponsored by the Kardashians. And Matson Bose says, "Hey, I got this new kid. He's fucking great. You got to get him in here. Let's get him working on your campaign, Branham. Your campaign to build a cult." Because Branham is starting his cult, The Message, by this. Guess who this little bright-eyed kid is that they get in to run Branham's campaign? Jim Jones! Not even kidding. Jim Jones. The Jim Jones. People's Temple Jim Jones.
I'm like, this is why I don't read the script all the time, because, oh my God, I'm just surprised. Holy shit!
This is when he comes in.
Oh my God!
Not even kidding. 1955, Jim Jones gets introduced. Kardashian-sponsored William Branham gets introduced to Jim Jones, who starts working for Branham, becomes a part of his ministry, starts preaching for Branham, and starts working as a campaign manager to spread Branham's latter rain message far and wide across the world. I fucking kid you not. Jim goddamn Jones. Not even kidding.
Oh my God! And this is how. Oh my God! Yeah. Sorry, we already know so much about Jim Jones in general. If anyone needs to go like learn about that, go and learn about that.
Last podcast on the left did an excellent Jonestown series. Excellent.
Incredible. And just to know that that he as a kid is learning from this guy, and like he's watching how to get funded, he's watching how to work 100%. With the crowd, he's watching how to advertise himself, how to push his message into people deeply. Like, oh my 100%. God.
This is where it all happened. So if you go and listen to Transmissions from Jonestown, which I highly, highly, highly recommend, it's a podcast. They played Jim Jones' actual recordings. The history that they have sourced is incredible. Wow. But essentially what happened, because it is very, very dark. But Jim Jones, essentially, he was a kid. He starts having these dreams, and he tells his mom he wants to be a prophet. He starts going to the Pentecostal church. He starts having really crazy dreams and nightmares. And his mom goes, "You can't go there anymore. Stop going there." He then finds his way into a William Branham revival service somewhere around 1955 and just immediately jumps in. He's immediately in the books, registered, name there, letters of introduction from this William Matson Bose or Joseph Matson Bose, whatever his name is. He wrote a letter of introduction directly to William Branham for Jim Jones, and that is where Jim Jones learned how to do what he did, because he worked for Branham for at least 2 years, and then he starts his own cult. Like you would think, it's easy to think, oh wow, Jim Jones just crossed his path, right? Because we kind of have this picture of Jim Jones as, well, he was young, he was religious, and then he went to some black churches, and then he tried to take over a black church, and then he started People's Temple. But it's way fucking more complicated and worse than that, because after Jones starts working for Branham in 1955, a couple years later, that's when he starts his own church. He spends time with Branham, watching Branham form his cult, The Message, watching Branham deliver these revivals, and then he starts the People's Temple years later. I think it's like 1956 is like the unofficial.
I think that's a part of his story, is he purposely goes around different churches, seeing how these pastors work and how they keep their flock and all that sort of stuff.
That's what they said, but it looks like a lot of it was spent with Branham, because he also, if you go and listen to Transmissions from Jonestown, basically all of Jim Jones's crazy lore and all the crazy stuff he did was based on latter rain. He was preaching latter rain to black people, which is crazy. He just had like twisted it a little bit to
And that again, that's how that cadence of a cult cult leader can really
Bingo.
fucking get into your brain. You need to be careful when you're listening to
Gotta
people
be
that are
so
speaking,
careful.
because it doesn't matter what they're saying. Your brain is going to be wiring itself.
100%.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But we know by 1956, lo and behold, Jim Jones has started People's Temple. And wouldn't you know it, one of the first preachers, one of the first pastors he invites to speak at People's Temple, it's William Branham. It is William fucking Branham. Latter reign Zionist William Branham is one of the first preachers to come and speak at People's Temple. And at this time, guess what? He's still fucking endorsed by the Kardashians. We know that because we've got fucking proof in a magazine that we're going to see. Like, it absolutely not. And he goes on to preach there a number of times, all the way through like the end of 1957. Branham is preaching at the People's Temple. And we know that he's being supported by the Kardashians. We know it. We know it while he's working with men like Jim Jones. So we get to 1956. Voice of Healing shares a story about William Branham, who is now reconciled with the Voice of Healing. They're back together. And this is how we know he's still working with the Kardashians, okay? You just got to follow me. The 1956 William Branham back in the Voice of Healing, back with this big business that he helped start. They're like, you know what? Latter reign, Zionism, cool, go ahead. We don't care. So they share this story. And in this story, they share a picture of William Branham, and he's standing next to this really flashy, nice, brand spanking new Cadillac. All the dots and whistles, whatever the bells and whistles, whatever the hell it is. And in this picture, it says, William Branham with Cadillac gifted by the Full Gospel Businessman's Fellowship International. Now, you might not think that that's interesting at first. You're like, why do I care that this guy, like, what does that have to do with the Kardashians? Well, that's because the Full Gospel Businessman's, which 2 words, by the way, not businessmen's, businessman's, 2 word, doesn't make fucking sense. Fellowship International. Guess who started it? Guess who started the FGBMFI? It would be Kim Kardashian's great uncle, Demos Shakarian, who was the nephew of Tom Kardashian. So what he essentially does to pull the eyes away from these businessmen who are sponsoring these charlatans, which the papers are talking more and more about, Shakarian goes off and forms this businessman's religious fellowship. And it's so that all the rich men can get together in their little club and they can donate money to their little club, and then their little club can go and donate to whoever they want to, whether that's politicians or that's shady pastors, whoever it is. Kardashians and Shakarians, once again, right here, right in the middle of it, forming this organization who is still in 1956 going after William Branham to give him expensive cars. Doesn't sound like they really disagreed with what he was doing to me personally. I don't know, Connie, does that sound like they disagree to you?
If you're funding it, you agree with it.
Exactly. But that's not the only reason, right? Because I know some people will still be going, well, maybe it was just Demos Shakarian and his business that were funding Branham. How do you know it was the Kardashians? Because in that same year, 1956, we've got Branham in another fucking sermon, which I'm not going to play here. I'll put it on Patreon. We're already getting up there. But we've got another sermon from Branham in 1956 in which he says, oh, the Kardashians are chasing me down. They're trying to give me cars, but I turned them down because I'm not that kind of a man, which we know he is because he then took it from one of the Kardashian businesses. Absolutely fucking filthy. Stuff is getting muddier and muddier. They're intentionally trying to hide stuff by this point. People are trying to deny working ties when they're still pursuing people, still giving money. It's getting dodgy. It's getting like really sinister. It's sinister to me. Sorry, all of this is sinister. It's sinister because it's what we see. Like it's what we see right now. It's what we see right now. So this is the Kardashian involvement, right? They keep funding Branham. Branham goes on, keeps preaching his shit. He goes on and gives a sermon about giant ants are coming. He's got a whole platform about how women are lesser beings and they hold men back. And so like they only exist to serve men and they should keep their mouths shut and have babies and clean kitchens. And that's all they have to offer. Really awful stuff. Forms his cult, which the cult is still around today, believes in all this awful stuff. And then in 1965, despite the fact that he said he had holy powers that meant he could never get sick and no one around him could ever die, Branham dies in 1965 after a car accident, of all things. Couldn't heal himself. Lingered in the hospital for weeks, died. His followers were like, well, no, he can't die because he's God. So he'll be back. Just like let him rest for a few minutes. He'll be back. He'll be fine. He'll be back. He was not back. He died because he was a fake and a fraud and a phony. So as far as we know, that's the end of the Kardashians funding William Branham. Right? But here's what I think is kind of interesting. And this is why I wanted to tell this story of Ava Kagopian and William Branham. Because it leads me to 2 really big questions. I think I've laid out the proof here that these 2 were fucking shams, were charlatans. You can go and read all the newspaper clippings again on Patreon if you want about all the people they did not heal. But with all of that laid out, you have to ask 2 questions about this family, especially because they're engaging in the same stuff. And it's one, did the Kardashians actually think Branham was a prophet? Did they actually think giant ants were going to come and like rule the world? Or were they funding absolute fucking nonsense and bullshit that they knew was absolute fucking nonsense and bullshit that they were selling to vulnerable people? That's the questions I come to.
It's well known that it's really easy to make money in religion.
Yeah.
And they were already scammers, right? So I'm opting for number 2. I vote number 2.
I don't think anybody is that stupid. They made millions of dollars off of this. I refuse to believe that they're just stupid. I just can't personally believe that. To me, this looks like a
American stupid, but like not monetarily. Like these people are narcissistic, like freaking money grubbing assholes. Like we already saw that for episode 1. Now we're in the depths of it. Of course they know what they're doing. They literally created an entire community thing to be a
whole industry.
Businessman's industry, international, to be able to fund these things so that they look like they're further removed from it, so that they don't, if there is any backlash, they won't actually get it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. To me, this looks like a calculated business in which they think about all of those things. They think about, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to prove it? How are you going to prove it's wrong? Prove it's wrong. Prove it didn't heal. Like, it's very scummy.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm walking it. No, it's it all comes back to Hagopian who was already accused of being a charlatan. They bring him over when he already has these accusations in allegedly in Cairo for being a scam. They bring him in, he makes a ton of money, and then they start making a ton of money with William Branham. I don't believe that is a fucking coincidence. But here's what's actually really the most important part of the story. The most important thing to remember about this healing revival that the Kardashians helped fund and create and put into motion, a movement they made a lot of fucking money on. That's really, like, keep that in mind. Robert Kardashian's alive for this. The family made a ton of fucking money, and it set them up for everything that they're doing now. But here's what you need to really focus on. The healing revival of the 1940s, 50s, and 60s was the backbone of what is the Christian nationalist and evangelical movement in the United States right now. They are the people that put Donald Trump in office, that put all of his cronies in office, that are defending the Epstein list, okay? They are the people you see inside the White House with their hands raised in the air, their eyes closed, and ecstatic looks on their faces. The people who claim that aliens are demons after Jesus and God. This movement started with Avok Hagopian, and it crystallized through bad faith actors like Jim Jones and William Branham in what has led to a modern day new apostolic reformation, a Pentecostal movement that is focused on the end times and closely aligned with Zionism and Zionist agendas. We didn't even get into Colonia Dignidad, which is also tied to this, which was a Nazi camp, a literal Nazi camp in Chile. Among those who study the NAR, this is called the Christian Taliban, okay? You need to take that very seriously. These churches are everywhere. They're operating and practicing right now, today, in your neighborhood. You might be a part of it and not even know it. You might be giving money to it and not even know it. Most of these churches call themselves non-denominational. They talk about prophets and apostles. Their theology is dominion theology. They want to see their churches literally wreathed in hellfire and brimstone to take over the world. And they literally, and I mean that word literally, believe that it is their job as Christians to bring about, and I quote, a great harvest of the end times. Revelation. They want you dead. They think you will be wiped out, and that makes them happy. They want people dead. I cannot reiterate that enough. I cannot emphasize that enough. They want you dead. Most of the people on this planet, they believe, are worthless and nothing but an obstacle to their redemption. They want you dead, not just when they're sitting in a pew on Sunday, all the time. When they vote for politicians, when they go into voting booths, they want you dead. These are churches titled Harvest Ministries. They are churches run by men like Kenneth Copeland. Yeah, he's on that list. So if your granny's watching Kenneth Copeland on the weekends, guess who she's been indoctrinated by? The Christian Taliban, the NAR. They are also Hillsong Church, a popular celebrity Instagram church with local pastors like Todd White, Judah Smith, Chad Veach. Okay? Your local mega church, that one that you drive past with the 14-foot neon crosses every Sunday, they are more than likely preaching NAR beliefs right now, right this second, the values of the Christian Taliban. And they have been for decades. Your parents, your great-grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, all in the name of a, again, direct quote, sacred harvest that they believe they are bringing about. They believe they have the right to harvest you, to harvest your family, to harvest your children. And make no mistake, these churches are not led by prophets. Okay? These churches are led by men like the ones the Kardashians have helped to create for 30 years. They are sociopaths. They are narcissists. They are egotists who don't care even about themselves. They crave power and they crave money and control. And that is it. That is all. These churches, Hillsong, Church Home, Harvest Ministries, and all the others regularly foster and foment hate groups, racist groups like the Defenders of Faith, who you can go and look up, who one of their founding grandchildren's members, he was just arrested in 2000 for kidnapping 6 of his grandchildren and taking them to a compound in the hills of Arkansas so he could brainwash them about Jesus. Okay? The NAR isn't just hate-filled. They actively preach against progress, still holding on to the racist and anti-immigrant dogma of the 1910s and the 1920s. They preach that socialism, socialist governments, equality are a threat to decency and what they call Christian values. They preach for the ruling class, and their goal, besides wiping out the majority of this planet, is to set themselves among the ruling class over a subjugated class of slave survivors. These things are real. These connections are real. The NAR and its impact on the American government and what is happening across the world right now, multiple genocides, is real. I need you to hear that. It is real. If you don't believe me, you can go to narconnections.wordpress.com or william-branham.org to start your own deep dive into the rabbit hole, into the world of these maniacal fucks. Because this is not going to stop until we stop it. It's not going to stop until we stop dismissing the perpetrators. Families like the Kardashians, who we pass off as nothing more than a media frenzy. They're not. They're not a passing media frenzy. The Kardashians are a part of a very sinister American undercurrent, royals in a world that seeks the destruction of others, all based on the prophecies of extremist narcissists. And make no mistake again, the more we tolerate the Kardashians, the more we allow for them to scam people, to grift them, to manipulate them, the more space we make for this kind of zealot insanity to permeate and destroy the promise of the American experiment, the worse it's going to get. We're better than this. As a species, I believe that we're better than this. And I believe that we can prove that by breaking the chains of false prophets and standing up for a better world. And that's just personally what I believe in. So is it clear now how that all adds up? Sorry, I had to do a soapbox moment there, but
Oh, I yell from the top of every soapbox because I was just thinking as you were saying that, like, the Kardashians have shifted from being people in the background to using their family as like a face of something, as a distraction to keep
100% bread and circuses,
so that in the background they can do all these other things.
Yeah, 100%. And we've got no proof that any of that has changed. Kim Kardashian and her family are still tied to Judah Smith, who's on the NAR Connections website. They're tied to Chad Veach. They're tied to Hillsong Church. Kim's opening up stores in Israel in the middle of a fucking genocide. There's no evidence that this family has changed their behavior or their personal beliefs. And so until further notice, I see them as evangelical radicals, and I see them as a direct violent threat. Like, that's just how I'm going to treat them until I've got proof that their money is doing the opposite of that. That's just how I'm going to see things. And I think this will set the stage for the next episode, part 3. I can't believe we've got to do more parts to this. But part 3, which is all going to be just Robert Kardashian. You'll see how he was involved, not just in the O.J. Simpson trial, but in a lot of payola scams, a lot of shady shit that was going on in the music industry. And I think it's just kind of one more puzzle that just will kind of, all of this together helps you understand what the Kardashians are and what people like them are and what this kind of celebrity class does and how it rules, essentially.
It's so entrenched in society, and it's all because everyone is allowing people to have too much money. Like, hoarding wealth has been so accepted for so long that this is what happens. This is what happens when we let people hoard money.
This is it. You give it to crazy isolated groups, and this is what they do with it. I'm
sat here like, I can't I can't. My brain is like,
It
I knew
melts.
that at some point in this series, I was going to get to a point where, like, I'm going to need time to process all of this.
Yeah,
Like,
it's so
we'll,
much.
we'll, we'll understand and know that all of this, like, hoard of wealth is detrimental to the way that the world works. But, like, to think that it's so bad now that I keep thinking about the fact that Kim is opening up shops in Shitrow.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like, all I can think about is, like, they have so much funding behind them still because of the way that they've been dealing behind doors.
Yep.
That
100%.
that they can flippantly open up stores in an area where people are actively genociding other human beings.
Yeah. And this is the part of the story. People like me who see them and go, this doesn't make sense. How do you have this much money and like prestige and power because they have no skills, right? There is no Kardashian that has a talent. They don't write, they don't sing, they don't act, they don't dance, they don't even go outside, man. Like they do nothing. They're husks. And so you're like, as people like Connie, you're the same. Like as people who actually have talents, who can do things, you know how hard it is to gain traction. And even rich kids, there's even rich kids who go out and do art and stuff who never gain traction because they suck, right? Like it's not as easy as just like having like the backing. But all of a sudden, when you put these pieces together and you see all of the political and business elbows that her family have been rubbing elbows with, their involvement with these religious movements and stuff, it suddenly makes sense that no, Kim did not make her fucking money from Instagram and from her sex tape and from all that stuff. Her family already had money because of all of this wheeling and dealing they were doing in the background. She gets deals because her family is tied to these people in the background. The real money is all made in the background. It's not being made off of this Instagram lifestyle that she tries to sell people.
I'm at a point now that a lot of the time when I see like even anyone, not just the Kardashians, go like super viral,
Yeah.
I'm like, I wonder how much money is backing you. Like
How
there was
much,
a
yeah.
band that I sent to a friend of mine because I found out that it was an Israeli band and we'd been sending some of their music back and forth and we had no idea.
Yeah.
And then a Palestinian, like this is in the metal scene, and a Palestinian band was like, "Hey, those guys are Israeli. Listen to us instead." And I was like, "Oh wow!" My friend looked it up, and he was like, "Yeah, that. Oh my god! Like I can't believe we even like gave these guys any kind of moment of our time."
Yeah.
And it's purely because they have money enough to push
100%.
their content so that it does go viral, so that people, because a lot of the time, like this is why we say you need to go and do your own research on these things when you hear us talk about this stuff, because just casually listening to us is not enough. Like a lot of people,
you got to go down the rabbit hole.
Go, oh wow, that's really interesting, and then think nothing of it, but integrate it as if it's fact.
Yeah.
And because you're not telling your brain to go and search out more information, like you're leading yourself into a trap.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's so important that you like think critically and skeptically about everything that comes into
everything, even what we say. What we say.
Yeah. We might be wrong. There might be stuff that we say wrong.
100%.
Like,
I've got corrections from the first episode that I'll have to do because it turns out some of the Kardashian provided details about their family history not accurate. Surprise, surprise. Like the child prophet that they followed, who was a child prophet, but he didn't get killed. They funded him in Los Angeles for years and years and years and years and years after they came to Los Angeles. And there's also some really shady things around their immigration because they had quite a lot of money when they came to the United States and they weren't technically supposed to leave where they were at because they were quite wealthy and they were tied to Russian. It's a whole thing. It's a whole, you got to do your own research.
To be wrong and correct ourselves and figure out what was wrong and say, hey, look, we were wrong and this is what it should be now. Whereas like people like the Kardashians will literally fold another lie over it and 100%. Another lie and put some money at it and try and bury it. And
so many lies.
You know,
so many. I highly recommend if you've made it this far in the episode, please go to that narconnections.wordpress.com. I've learned so much from the William Branham website, but that NAR Connections website is brilliant because it's, again, I know, look, if you're a Christian, you don't want to hear me criticize your religion, right? Because you're like, well, you're not even like, you're not a part of the church. How are you going to criticize it? This man that is managing the NAR Connections website, he is, and he was, and he is still a practicing Christian, and he does believe in the Christian message, and he's trying so hard to pull people away from this evangelical radicalism because it's not Christianity. It's wrapped in a Christian bow, but it's not Christianity, and it never has been. It was not in the 1947s when the Kardashians were selling it. Selling a fake faith healer to people is the antithesis of what Jesus preached. So if it's the opposite of what Jesus preached, like if you're getting rich off of scamming people and it's the opposite of what Jesus preached, then you can't be Christian, right? Because Christianity is Jesus's teachings. Christians, Jesus Christ, Christians, you know? So it's the whole thing. It's fake. It's a scam. And this NAR Connections website, absolutely brilliant. I've got followers who are finding their preachers on there and are like, holy shit, I had no idea he was giving money.
Oh,
yeah.
So sorry, guys, that you're having to have that big realization, but it's probably really good for your brain to have that.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
There's a very good chance if there are electric guitars during your church service that you are being preached at by a neo-Nazi. So just take that as you will. Yeah, most church services in America now, they have like rock bands and stuff. It's a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke. I hate it.
Jim Bob out with his band so y'all can listen.
So bad. It's oh my god, it's so bad. Like go and look at a Hillsong church service sometime, and that is like where I grew up. I used to take trumpet lessons in a mega church, and I used to have to. I remember walking through it, going, "How the hell is this Jesus?" And they would be like, "Right, so you just got to go in, and you need to go to the west wing and then go through the third gymnasium and then through the fourth gymnasium and then take the elevator up to the mezzanine to the back offices." It would take you 20 minutes to get to the fucking trumpet studio. The church was so big. Scams. It's not Christianity. Is the opposite of everything Christianity teaches. So please be so careful. Go to william-branham.org. Go to the NAR Connections website. Please, please, please. I'm also putting all of this stuff on Patreon, but it's very dangerous stuff. It's very, very dangerous stuff. But good news is this is kind of our last heavy episode. The next two episodes, next one will be Robert Kardashian, OJ Simpson, all that kind of stuff. And then the final episode will be Kim and her sisters and all the credit card fraud they've done and Caitlyn Jenner killing somebody and all of the scams that you know so well. Yeah. Yeah, they've killed people. Yeah. No,
shit.
Current Kardashians have killed people and gotten away with it. 100%. 100%. That's fucking
kind of
factual.
like how Katy Perry had that and then none.
Yeah, except Caitlyn Jenner actually hit and killed the woman with her vehicle. Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Shit.
And Chloe's had DUIs that she didn't get in trouble for. Rob, we'll talk about when he released his wife's, the mother of his child's pornography as revenge porn on the internet.
Rusty fucking bucket of
pit. Didn't go to prison. Didn't get in trouble for that at all. Didn't get in any trouble for that. So we'll talk about all that, and hopefully now as we get into the Kardashian scandals that you will see why we had to talk about this, because you'll see now that this is a con family, right? They run scams, they run cons, they run grifts. Their targets are vulnerable, gullible people. They look for marks, and that's what their whole thing is. So that's it, and that's it for this episode. We did it. It's gonna be super long. Another super long one. I don't know if the other ones will be as long, but they'll be just a little bit lighter other than, the murders. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Connie, thank you so much for being here. I'm very, very grateful that you're doing this with me.
Happy to be here, but if you've gotten this far, go leave that 5-star review, please.
Would love to hear it. Would love it. If you want to get more on the Kardashians and other shady Hollywood cults, I'm doing Fellowship of Friends. I'm doing the Church-Owned Cult. Make sure you join me on Patreon. I share videos, essays, all kinds of good stuff. Go deep into the topics that you hear on Scandal Queens and go deeper into the stuff you hear me talk about on TikTok. You can do that at patreon.com/Scandal Queens. If you want more of a psychological perspective, if you want more like a rooted professional perspective, you can head over to Substack, where I post all my guides and articles on narcissism, relationships, all of that. That's therealebjohnson.substack.com. And if you just want it short and sweet, you can follow me on all the socials at therealebjohnson, everywhere. Very, very easy. And yes, as Connie said, if you love this episode, please leave a quick 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It just helps the other anti-celebrity girlies find us so that we can all be weirdos together and break the spell and be anti-Swifties together. And it's always greatly appreciated. So please leave a 5-star review. And for everything else, make sure you're following Scandal Queens so you don't miss an episode. And we'll be back next week for the Kardashians Part 3. So we'll see you there. And until next time, keep your secrets close and your receipts closer. Stay scandalous, queens. Bye-bye.
Bye.